Welcome to the React Charts tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to export the Syncfusion React Charts in different formats. The Syncfusion React Chart empowers you to export your React charts in multiple formats, including PDF documents or image formats such as SVG, PNG, and JPEG, as well as you can also export chart data to XLSX and CSV formats. Let me show you how to use the export functionality in a Syncfusion React Chart component. I will start by opening an existing React app where I have already added the Syncfusion React Chart component. If you want to know how to create a React app and add a Syncfusion React Chart component, I recommend checking out the video linked in the card above. You can also find this example by following the link in the description below. I run this application using the npm start command to show the initial demo. See, the chart is rendered with sales data. Now let's see the steps for exporting the React charts. Here, I am planning to list different export format options using the drop-down list. When you select an option from the list and click the button, the React charts will be exported to the selected format. In my React app, as a first step, I declare an array named export type with the items such as export formats, JPEG, PNG, SVG, PDF, XLSX, and CSV. Next, I integrating the React drop-down list component into the application. Let me import the drop-down list component from the Syncfusion React drop-downs package since it's already installed in the application. Then I add a drop-down list component in the React app and bind the export types array to its data source. Next, I create a reference for the drop-down list component named as dropdownref to retrieve the drop-down values from the dropdownref variable. The default value of the drop-down is set to JPEG. The text and value field properties are mapped to the corresponding properties of the data source. Next, I create a button named as export and bind a click handler function on button's click event. This function executes when the export button is clicked. It uses the export method from the chart instance which I have already created and store the chart component's reference. By using the method, I export the chart based on the selected export format in the dropdown. The selected export type is retrieved using the dropdownref variable. And the default exported file name is set to sample. See, the chart is rendered with sales data, and above it there is a drop-down and an export button. The drop-down defaults to JPEG. When I click the export button, the chart is exported as a JPEG format image. After opening the exported file, you can see the chart in an image format. In the example, I select the export type as XLSX from the drop-down and click the export button. You can see the chart data exported to an XLSX file. Now I open the exported file, and the chart data is presented in an Excel sheet. In the example, next I click the drop-down and select the PDF format. I then click the export button. The chart is now exported as a PDF document. We can customize the header content and file name dynamically. Here you can see a text box below the drop-down. By using the text box, I get a dynamic value of file name and export the charts by using the given file name and text box. As a first step, I will be integrating the React text box component into the application. Let me import the text box component from the Syncfusion React inputs package since it's already installed in the application. I add the text box component next to the drop-down and store a reference in the headerref variable to retrieve the text box values from the headerref variable. In the placeholder property of the text box component, I set the value as enter the header content and set the default value to charts. In the click handler method, I create a variable named header of type IPDF args. This variable stores the value given in the text box. I retrieved the current value of the text box using text box reference. I then passed the header variable to the export method, setting other optional values as null. Now you can see a text box below the drop-down. In this text box, I enter the header content sales chart. Then, I select the export type as PDF and click the Export button. As a result, the exported chart now displays the provided header content above the chart. Similarly, you can export the chart with a custom file name. To achieve this, I added another text box component and stored its reference in the filename ref variable. In the placeholder property of the text box component, I set the value as enter the file name. The default value is set to sample. In the export method within the click handler function, I remove the static file name sample and instead of that pass the file name value retrieved from the text box reference. You can now see another text box above the export button, labeled with the placeholder enter the file name. In this text box, I enter the name sales data, and this time I select the export type as SVG. On clicking the export button, the chart is exported as an SVG file with the file name sales data. Let's have a quick summary. In this video, I have demonstrated how to export the React Charts component and customize the PDF header in an exported chart and export a chart with a custom file name. You can get a working example from Syncfusion React Chart Components documentation page linked in the description for this video. You can also see if you're eligible for our community license, which will provide you a free license key to use our products. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it useful, give it a like and subscribe to our channel.